RFK Jr., you said voter ID was racist. Is that true?
Maybe. I didn't see it. I had a lot of positions.
It's actually a comic book written by radical Democrat RFK Jr. Argues, among other things, that voter ID laws are, quote, I kid you not, racially rancid.
Red state people are more likely to murder you, to impregnate your teenage daughter, to commit a violent crime against you, to commit a non-violent crime against you, to watch Desperate Housewives on TV, to buy pornography, to buy, degenerate video games like Grand Theft Auto.
You've called for curbing, logging, oil drilling, fracking. You wanted to eliminate it. You called it a victory for democracy. You want to curb U.S. fossil fuel extraction. Keep it in the ground, you once tweeted. You want a ban on fossil fuel extraction, a ban on fracking.
They are contemptible human beings, and that, I wish that there were a law you could punish them under. I think the Green New Deal is... all of that stuff is important, is good. We ought to be pursuing it. I believe that we should use market mechanisms like carbon taxes. There's going to be major disruptions, not just to humanity, but ultimately to civilization. And this is part of the cost.
Any question?
Would you pay RFK Jr.?
RFK, I don't know anything about him. Look, RFK is polling very low. He's not a serious candidate. They say he hurts Biden. I don't know who he hurts. He might hurt me. I don't know. But he has very low numbers, certainly not numbers that he can debate with. And he's got to get his numbers up a lot higher before he's credible. But the numbers that he's taken away, they say will be against Biden. I don't know. I'm not so sure. It could be a little bit against me. But I don't see him as a factor.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about RFK, who I have said since the beginning is a liberal Democrat who is trying to cater to Trump supporters and the left at the same time, okay, which is going to be an extremely hard thing to do. And when it comes down to voting, he is going to take away more support from Joe Biden than he is from Trump. And the reason why is because, one, Trump has a strong base of supporters that are going to back him because they like him and his policies. And everybody understands that the country was in a much better place under Trump than Joe Biden. And on the other hand, Joe Biden does not have a strong base of supporters because, first and foremost, nobody voted for him in 2020 because they actually like him. They voted for him because they hate Trump for the most part. But fast forward to 2024, that advantage is no longer going to apply for Joe Biden because everybody knows that the country was much better under Trump, and the country has been in a state of disaster under Joe Biden. Furthermore, RFK, again, has proven time and time again that he is a liberal Democrat who's simply very skeptical and critical of vaccines. And he also has this somewhat of an anti-establishment streak because of the history of his family. However, outside of that, there's nothing conservative about RFK. I mean, look at his VP pick, Nicole Shanahan, who is a far leftist, okay? She is far left on social justice, okay? She's far left on criminal justice reform. There's nothing conservative about her. There's really nothing conservative about RFK's campaign. And because of that, my prediction in regards to who RFK will hurt the most, Trump versus Biden, has come true for the most part when you look at the polls, okay? When you look at a vast majority of the polls, with RFK included, he has taken away more support from Joe Biden than Trump. However, there is a concerning but interesting paradox that is developing when it comes to polling RFK supporters, because it seems as if, despite the fact that when you include RFK in the polls, he's hurting Joe Biden more than Trump, it seems as if he wasn't in the race, then a lot of his support would go to Trump. Again, this is an interesting kind of situation that is developing that is somewhat concerning.
Our new poll, which was conducted by SSRS, finds Trump is leading Biden, who has ample work to do with his base and with independent voters who are breaking to his GOP rival. In a head-to-head race, 49% of voters say they'd pick Trump for president, compared to 43% for Biden. That's a 9-point Trump advantage with independent voters. And add in third-party candidates, and Trump's lead jumps even more. He has 42% to Biden's 33%, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. gets 16% of the vote. Our poll also underscores the challenges of incumbency and that voters, 4 years later, have a better view of Trump's presidency compared to Biden's. 55% say Trump's time in office was a success, with only 39% saying the same about Biden's presidency.
But yes, if you add in third-party candidates, 12% of adults overall say they'd vote for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. if he is an option. Now, if he's not an option, and remember, he's not on the ballot everywhere, we're seeing an interesting split develop among Kennedy supporters. 37% of Kennedy supporters say they'd vote for Trump if Kennedy isn't on the ballot. 24% say Joe Biden. So it's not clear what the actual impact will be, but at least initially, it looks like third-party candidates like Kennedy are hurting Trump a bit more than Biden.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? So it's really hard to say, okay, exactly what RFK's impact is, even though, again, I personally do believe that he's going to hurt Biden more than Trump, because RFK, again, has shown time and time again, he is a liberal left-wing Democrat. And evidence of that are videos like this, where he gets pressed on what should be a layup for somebody like RFK when it comes to the issue of gender reassignment surgery for kids, okay? Allowing kids to medically transition before the age of 18. You would think that somebody like RFK, if he was a sane person who is as anti-big pharma as he claims to be, again, this would be a layup for him. He would be able to easily get this question right. However, apparently, according to RFK, he doesn't know, right? He doesn't know when it comes to this issue of gender reassignment surgery and medical transition for kids, which in my opinion, if you are a conservative and you're thinking about voting for RFK, this should be a automatic disqualifier, right? He should be automatically disqualified based off his answer to this question when pressed on this issue by Patrick Bet-David.
What will you do as a president to get this nonsense out to prevent kids under the age of 18, with or without the consent of the father, to transition? You may even say that is an okay policy you're a part of that many families disagree with. One, what's your position on this, and what will you do as a president?
I mean, my position is that people should not be able to have access to those procedures, that minors shouldn't, without parental permission. And, you know, I don't know enough about it, Patrick, to say that it should be completely illegal for
under 18?
No. Yeah, I just don't know enough. What I'm going to tell you, well, because I don't know.
But Robert, I mean, you're.
I don't. You know what? I don't know enough. There may be some rare cases where it saves somebody's life. I don't know that. And I'm not going to tell you that I have an answer to a question that I have not.
But Robert, there's a big difference.
Just tell you this.
I just want to say this. There's a big difference between those two things. One, saving somebody's life to transition and cut the dangling off. How are you saving that person's life? Some of these things, logically, they make no sense to parents. So parents are sitting there. You're going to have to answer this for both parents on both sides.
There's conflicting values here. And one of the values is freedom to do what you want with your own body and have the government tell you you can or you can't do that.
Who is protecting kids under the age of 18, though?
And that's the other, right? And that's why I say nobody can do it without their parents' permission. That's solid. And then I have to look at the drugs, the safety of the drugs, whether there's permanent damage from the. I just don't know. You're rolling your eyes like I shouldn't have. This is an obvious question.
Do you trust a 14-year-old driving a car? Without a driver's license?
Well,
do you trust a 13-year-old voting? What if a parent consents for the 13-year-old to vote? Should we be okay with that? Because the parent said it's okay. Should we trust the parent that
13-year-old to vote?
I get that, but why should it be legal for somebody at 13 with parent consent to transition?
Yeah, so I want to be clear. I don't dislike RFK, right? I like him better than Biden. I'd much rather have him be president than Biden, because I think that Biden, for the most part, is an empty suit, and he's being controlled by the woke progressive left. Now, RFK probably is, pretty left-wing, okay? But I don't think he's as woke as Biden's handlers, right? So to speak. So I'm just saying, I think RFK is the lesser of two evils between Biden and RFK, if I had to choose between Biden and RFK. But the good news is that I don't, right? We have another option. And again, thank God we have another option, because RFK just showed during that clip why he should be automatically disqualified for anybody that considers themselves to be a conservative, because this issue of gender reassignment surgery / transitioning for kids, in my opinion, as a conservative, is a litmus test, okay? In the sense that if you don't get this answer right, there's no way I can vote for you. I cannot vote for you in good conscience because this issue is not up for debate, especially considering how conservatives are winning on this issue. Okay, conservatives have the majority support in this country on this issue, so there's no reason to compromise, right? This is not like the issue of abortion where you can say, oh, well, it's a state's issue and we have to make it a state's issue and not push it even further at the federal level because we don't have the support for it. No, it's not that, okay? It's not that. That's not what this issue is. This issue is an issue that we quite literally have the support for. We're on the side of morality and we're on the side of protecting children, right? And the American people are on our side. So there is no reason to compromise, okay? And any conservative that compromises on this issue, again, it's an automatic no-go for me, okay? Not that RFK was conservative. He's just proving that he's not with this answer because he's saying that, well, I don't know. I don't know if it's, safe. I don't know enough about it. Well, if you don't know, then you should err on the side of caution and say, well, if I had to pick, I would be against it, right? I would be against it before the age of 18 because we just don't know enough to be pushing kids to transition to make these permanent life-changing procedures before they have the capacity to understand exactly what they're doing. In fact, I would probably go even further in my ideal world and wait until the age of 25, 26 when the human brain is fully developed, right? If I could have it my way, I would ban it until the age of 25, 26 after the human brain is fully developed so that people really understand the decision that they're making before they do it, okay? And RFK, somebody who is supposed to be so skeptical of America's big pharma industry, I don't understand why that skepticism doesn't automatically apply here, where he says, you know what? I'm skeptical of the profit motive that is behind pushing kids to transition at such a young age when you have some of these European countries and some of their medical institutions coming out and saying, we tried this experiment and this experiment is not working, right? This is not working. And in some cases, again, they went as far as to ban the procedure or ban kids being able to medically transition because they haven't proven that it's safe.
All right, so some good news in the fight for medical prudence. Britain's National Health Service, the NHS, has banned the use of puberty blockers for children who claim to have gender dysphoria. While fewer than 100 children and teens are currently on blockers in the UK, the number of young people referred to NHS Gender Identity Development Services has ballooned by more than 1,600% in a decade. For more on this landmark decision and what it might mean here in Australia, I'm joined by journalist Bernard Lane, who covers this topic so well for Gender Clinic News. Bernard joins me now. Bernard, take us through this actual decision. What prompted it?
Well, Peter, there's a few elements to it. First of all, an independent expert review of the evidence for puberty blockers, which found that the evidence was very weak and uncertain. We don't know if they're safe. We don't know what effect they have. And also, you mentioned the spike in patient numbers and the change in the patient profile. Suddenly, a lot of teenage girls. That's the background to it. And so the National Health Service, England, has decided that the puberty blockers should no longer be offered as a routine treatment to young people who are distressed about their gender.
Yeah, so again, the bottom line is if you don't know if it's safe, then you should err on the side of caution, which is that, hey, we should just ban it. We shouldn't allow this because we don't know if it's safe. And these are children, and we should not be allowing children to undergo these types of procedures that, again, we don't know if they're safe. We don't even know if they're beneficial at all. We have no clue. I don't understand how RFK dropped the ball on this, right? Like, this is a layup. But I think I know why. Is because, again, this is him trying to give a libertarian argument that, in my opinion, does not apply to children, okay? For the most part, I try to lean as libertarian as I can, reasonably, when it comes to adults and, people's rights as adults, okay, to, control what they put in their bodies, again, reasonably, okay? But when it comes to children, no. I'm a hardcore, staunch conservative, right? When it comes to protecting children, period. Okay? Period. And, maybe that's the angle that RFK is coming at it from. He's coming at it from, one of these extreme libertarian angles of, well, hey, who is the government to decide what children can and can't put in their bodies, but we have a history of the government deciding what children can and can't put in their bodies. And I think that ultimately, for as skeptical as I am when it comes to the government telling people what to do with their bodies, I think that it overall is a good thing when it comes to children, especially when you're talking about drugs, okay, which is something that the government has heavily regulated. Children not getting access to that, and that is a good thing. That is what a good and functional government should be doing, right? At the very least, okay, you should be trying to protect children from themselves and irresponsible parents who think that it's okay to essentially experiment with their children, right? And that is something that the medical institutions and governments in Europe have said, hey, you know what? This isn't working out for us. I think it's funny that the American medical institutions are trying to push this as if the science is settled on it. It tells you everything you need to know about the agenda. Okay, there is a profit motive behind it, and it doesn't have anything to do with safety or protecting children or saving lives as much as it has to do with the fact that these institutions know there's a lot of money behind this and that they can have lifelong patients. The more kids they push into these treatments and undergoing these permanent procedures that these kids can later on regret in life. And again, you would think that somebody like RFK, whose whole campaign basically is based off, well, I'm anti-big pharma, right? And big pharma is just trying to make money off of people. And, a lot of this stuff that they're putting out there may not necessarily be the safest. You would think that he would understand that, right? That this would automatically click for somebody like him. But I don't know. He's trying to thread the needle and to get Trump supporters and progressives on his side. And maybe that is where he's coming from. Maybe that is what's pushing him to take this stance. Regardless, for me as a conservative, it's a litmus test issue. And, if you're somebody that calls yourself a conservative, I'm not sure how you can reconcile voting for RFK knowing that this is just one of many stances that he has that is very far left, right? So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.